Gary Gensler strikes again. This time, Bittrex and Bittrex Global are being noticed from the SEC and sued for operating as an unregistered security broker and clearing agency. That's according to a press release from the Securities and Exchange Commission as of this morning. And a quote, Gary Gensler said, "Today's action yet again makes plain that the crypto markets suffer from a lack of regulatory compliance, not a lack of regulatory clarity. As alleged in our complaint, Bittrex and issuers that I worked with knew the rules that applied to them, but went to great lengths to evade them by directing issuer applicants to scrub offering materials of information indicating that certain crypto assets were securities." I got to give this one to our resident legal expert on the show. Jen, what do you make of this? We've seen SEC go after Coinbase with the Wells notice. Lots of different crypto projects are going under the gun of the SEC. What's your take on Bittrex?
Well, my first question is, how can we be compliant if the rules are not clear? We are in this vicious cycle, and the way to fix it is through clear regulation, Gary Gensler. Now, according to the SEC, Will, you mentioned this in your wonderful description there, that Bittrex worked with crypto issuers to delete problematic statements. If that is true, and if Bittrex was making statements that implied you would be getting profits on certain assets, that is bad, right? But I would like to see the statements to see how they're being interpreted. Further on in the claim, the SEC says that Bittrex should have registered as an exchange, clearing agency, and broker. We've seen what has happened to other exchanges, other products who have gone to the SEC and tried to register, tried to seek clarity. It has not turned out well for them. Many of them have found themselves in the same position with the Wells notice in hand. And my last take on this, before I pass it off to Zach, was way at the bottom of the story. It says the complaint alleges that a bunch of different tokens, including Algorand, are securities. And this is just yet another SEC enforcement action that outlines a bunch of tokens as securities instead of providing us clarity. And I thought that was really interesting. I think that there is a strategy here in all of these actions they're taking against all of the companies to continuously outline more and more tokens as securities. Zach?
Yeah, they're laying the groundwork. This is the game plan here, right? We've seen it time and time again. They're saying, hey, we're going to make these claims. We're going to say that these assets are securities, and therefore, if you're trading in them, you're an unregistered securities exchange, right? And this is, again, that sort of enforcement by regulation that people in the space decry so loudly, seemingly every week. And I think we're seeing them, the SEC here in this case, proceed with the playbook that they seem to think is working for them in terms of driving these firms offshore, making it more difficult for them to access the U.S. consumers that they're charged with protecting, right? And so, I think we can see this as par for the course, and something that I think the SEC probably is going to want to do more and more, right? They can pick off some of these smaller exchanges. Maybe they pick a fight with those less willing to push back against them, such as Coinbase has vowed to do. And I think we're going to see this time and time again. I don't think there's any reason to suggest that the SEC is going to change its approach to enforcement by regulation. There's nothing to indicate, despite all the whining, despite all the crying from the crypto sector, this seems to be working for Gary Gensler, and I think we're going to see a lot more of it, is this dictating that, hey, these things are securities, therefore you guys are in violation of national securities laws, and therefore we're going to ding you. So I think we're going to see more of this, and it's certainly par for the course. But I know Wendy is incensed, and I'll toss it over to her.
It's just so frustrating because I thought that Bittrex had two separate divisions. They had a Bittrex International and Bittrex for the United States. I was pretty sure that Bittrex for the United States operated the way it was supposed to, or registered. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised because I feel like a lot of legal advisors are telling their clients just maybe to wait and not even bother registering, because what's the point of even registering, because they're just going to go after you harder. And then at the same time, how are they picking these crypto projects that are on the exchanges? Like Bittrex had I don't know how many different trading pairs they had, but they were one of the older exchanges and they offered a lot of different cryptocurrencies. So it's like, how are they picking these random coins? Are they just throwing a dart? It's not making sense to me. But Zach, I do have to push back a bit and say that I don't think that Gary Gensler is going to be in this position much, much longer.